right, Money in the Bank coming right up, and I thought I would. If you did not see any of my last video, I thought I'd be here to say my last minute thoughts on what might happen in this Money in the Bank. Now, as regards to the winners of each bank titles, title bank people, whatever, I was like, got a little jambalaya salad in that mixture of words. Look, the women, I was like, it's pretty much clear cut. Tiffany Stratton, she's been over here being around Nia Jax and Bailey. So guess what? She got sort of an in either way, no matter what. So I think that's why, along with like her heel persona. Chelsea Green, same reason. Her girl Piper was over here in a match against Bailey. She's somewhere been around annoying Bailey here and there. She got story motive. And I will say that I wasn't even thinking about this until now, but due to the boys over at Stephen Larson at Going In Raw, talked about Naomi in a way that was like I didn't think about that. How they been buddy buddy. She was been the person that had Bailey back ever since she came back to the company and stuff like that. That you could tell a different way about it with a babyface route of hey, I'm gonna still cash in. We friends. Dynamic. Bailey got to look over her corner, even though that's her girl. You still don't necessarily know. And I was like, that's their idea. Go check out their idea on their podcast. It was really great. Yeah, I was like, EO's two-time winner. She's not going to. Zoe, not going to win, but this goes into something that I think is going to happen. Is I do think because they said that Trish Stratus is going to be hosting the show because it's up in Canada, and I think that they're going to revisit that situation that happened last year, where Zoe was basically the right hand woman to Trish Stratus going against Becky Lynch, and then Trish Stratus smacked her, and Zoe Stark was like, "Okay, I'm done with this," and gave her the whole Z, what is the Z strike, whatever her finisher move is in the cage, and left Trish Stratus just the whole thing. I think that's going to come to play at some point. I think they might end up crossing paths like early on, but I think I can see. I don't know if it's necessarily like a feud out of it, but just saying that Trish get her lick back versus Zoe Stark. So I think that's one appearance that might happen. Um, I was like, that's pretty much what I'm gonna get to. I don't think Lyra. Lyra. I was like, it's too early, but I think that they're trying to get away while they could use the whole Becky Lynch, my friend. I think they want to get away from that. Yeah. So I think it's. I was like, I'm voting for Chelsea over Trish, over Tiffany, just because I think Tiffany's status is she could get a main event title shot at any time, and to me, her briefcase really only works if after she's been friends with Nia and Nia wins more so than anything, because then she's just sort of bothering Bailey, and I don't think that really justifies her. Whereas like Chelsea sort of can annoy either one if whoever wins. Naomi the same thing, because I was like she's some sort of ran into Nia also a couple times too. So where they done tick for tackle a couple times. So I was like. I was like I didn't think of Naomi, but I think that'd be a good one also because Naomi done had so many chances that came up short to sort of either be I was like either involved in the championship match or be around it, that she hadn't done nothing since she got back to the company. The men's side is really more compelling for me. Which way could it go? I was like Logan Paul was probably going to interfere with LA Knight. Um, I was like I said Andrade could be a sneaky one just because I was like even though I know it's not going to happen, I think it'd just be easy to write him into any of these stories because he doesn't have nothing that's going on. That it'd be easier to sort of use the Money in the Bank as a prop in this sort of instance to actually make the guy then you needing like somebody to carry that has some weight into it. Unlike I was like, and not like the way Austin Theory had it, where it was just there, that it was sort of used, but everything was wrong for him to be to have the Money in the Bank. Um, but yeah, no, I was like, so to me, Jay, Drew, Chad really got the spotlight of they could do something interesting. We already know Drew and maybe with Seth and Damon later on, he could try to cash it in, maybe not. Maybe he could save it later on for SummerSlam, where it's like Gunther versus whoever went between Damien and Seth. Or he could just keep going in the whole time. He got his whole Punk thing. Maybe they could put the briefcase up for it in a match. There's so many routes you could sort of go with Drew, and it works in his storyline. But I don't think he needs it either, because he is still just gonna be floating around the championship match. Jay, I was like, I was like, see so many people that talk about like, hey, he gonna be in the bloodline, can't have it. I'm like, you don't think that if some bloodline stuff popped off, that him having the money in the bank while Solo lurking around, that wouldn't bother Solo or get irritated, or maybe that would just not get him involved because he got the money in the bank match. I was like, so I was like, you could use that either to further tell the story or to get him involved in the story because he has that. Where, say, Solo faces Cody at SummerSlam and he loses, but his brother over here got the briefcase, and he's like, I need y'all to get that for me, to his bloodline brethren out here. And also too, like, he might end up being something with the Wyatt Six. I was like, I don't think fully, but I think somewhat involved. Um, that won't be difficult if he does have the money in the bank with them, because I don't think it matches that situation. But where it does, it with Chad, and I think that actually can work with the Wyatt Six. Yeah, you would think that you wouldn't want him to have the money in the bank with that, just the same way like I said with Uso. But I was like, unlike Uso, he sort of works because as they've been tormenting him this whole time. Now, say for instance, everybody's laid out in this ladder match. The lights go out. The lights come back on. Chad is at the ladder. Now he's able to grab the money in the bank briefcase with the help of the Wyatt Six. Technically, that is kind of makes it kind of like what happened, what was going on. But he's still frightened of it. But now he got the money in the bank, so it don't matter. But every time he tries to cash it in, the lights go out. He can't do anything. Nothing happens. He just ends up running away with the briefcase. And he still got his stuff with Otis. He's still acting like a dick. Even though if you get the Creeds involved, that might make things worse. And the whole story you could tell is basically until he reconciled with how he treated people, and or he starts treating the Creeds a certain way, or making them turn a certain way to where it's like that goes against what they're doing, but they're following this leader that every time he try to cash in, he's doing it wrong. He's not being right. And you could tell a story that pretty much until he fights those demons won't leave him alone. And then you can sort of tell that when he starts to actually turn over a new leaf, actually be better, actually start showing some remorse and all this other stuff, when he does cash it in, that'd be the right time. There's no lights or nothing like that. He's actually been healed. I was like, not pun intended, but actually like the whole thing intended with that. And that's the story you could tell. Now maybe I was like, also maybe I'm just over here just spinning out my high horse with that one. But that's where I say like it's going to probably be Drew J. I think it's going to be Drew, but Chad has a real good case in it, at least for me as well. Now with the 6-man ish tag, because they got that fourth one looming over there. Now especially Paul Heyman gone. This is where I have my surprise one, that Jimmy makes his return. Now, while I think the Bloodline needs a win, I don't think they're gonna have Jacob Fatu lose. I can see Jay coming back and helping Cody win, because or hold on, this way everybody wins. The Bloodline wreck shop and they win. I would like Cody gets pinned by Solo, because that's the way they set up that match at SummerSlam, possibly. And they just all getting wrecked. And you think there's nothing that could go on. Jay comes in and makes the save that way. And at least, and it's like, one of them sort of awkward things because it's like, of course, Cody and the crew versus Jimmy, they got beef, but they needed a person to come in and help out. Jimmy was the guy, and guess what? Now, even though it'd be a little tricky, Jimmy sort of gets to be in that little babyface limelight, teeter tottering on the line or whatever. He got to work himself into good graces, and so you can start building him back up to where he can, like, start getting with like, maybe later on down the road you get him like trying to reconcile with his brother and stuff like that. But first he got to do it with everybody else going against his bloodline. Now it's an even 4-on-4 people to where it's like, yo, I might not rock with Jimmy, but guess what? Right now, my enemy is my friend kind of situation. I don't believe Roman coming back at SummerSlam. I just don't. I was like, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a surprise, to be honest, especially because we're anticipating it. But I was just like, they don't feel like they had this bloodline cooked that much, so I think they need to let it cook a little bit more before they start throwing that up on the Barbie. Yeah, but I was like, that's sort of my biggest surprise. I think Jimmy comes out to help Cody. I'm gonna call him Arcade Cody, in some form or fashion. Either help them win the match, or help them, or save them from getting their ass totally beat down. Last but not least, Damien and Seth. On one hand, I can see the compelling arguments for Seth winning. It's like Damien finally breaks from Judgment Day. What he's supposed to do? He can't really be friends with him. No, I mean, I guess you could be cool. Y'all all in the same building and stuff like that. But to be honest, Seth, I think, is going to really put over Damien. I was like, you could have Seth technically win the title and have him face Gunther. That was sort of teased before WrestleMania. But I think they want to solidify Damien as a top guy. Sort of like my explanation I was saying with Andrade. Like, once you sort of get put up in that spot, nobody can really take that away from you. Like, you can always be thrown in the main event, and it's like, okay, he's a main event guy in foreign fashion. Even if he doesn't necessarily win the title, but he could win the title again. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, up in arm, unless like it was like something that was like really sorry storytelling. But the name of the game in this match is, I think Liv and Finn will interfere in this match. I think Finn is going to interfere to try to do something to Seth, but basically almost cost Damien a couple times, where Damien gets really frustrated and have him get out. And I think that Liv will show up and cost the interference to have Damien win in a solid way to sort of prove that, hey, I'm here with you, that kind of thing. Any friend of Dom's is a friend of mine, kind of whole situation. I was like, do I think they're going to be a cash in? No, I don't think they're going to be a cash in. I think Drew will tease it if he wins it. I think it will be teased. I was like, I think even if Chad wins, I think it'd be teased. But I already told you my storyline for that one. But for I was like, I don't feel like there's not gonna be a cash in. I don't think they're gonna be a cash in. I think it's gonna just be whatever it is. Although the symmetry is there a little bit with Seth being the main plot point in all this. But yeah, I was like, I just thought I'd just give you. I was like, this is not really necessarily a prediction. Really more detail of what I feel like I'm gonna be playing, along with the reasons why behind it. Just something different. But I was like, I already did my prediction. This one, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot more difficult than any of the other pay-per-view. Like I said, it's not as predictable, so I'm down with that. But anyway, we'll see how all this goes down at Money in the Bank.